What up, y'all? This is Kibba Son, the podcast. I'm Ed Lover, and usually when y'all see me do the podcast, y'all see me have guests in the past before, but usually it's been Dan, right? Me and Dan have talked about everything about hip-hop, R&B, top 5, top 50, all of that. But this week, I got a special guest joining me in the studio. He's a film director, he's a producer, and he is a writer, and we're going to talk about some interesting stuff. Mr. Nick Quested is here. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the podcast. Tell me, you are a hip-hop video director?
I did a few.
You are still now?
Well, Mike Bivens called me about something, so I'm like putting my toe back in the water.
Okay. So what hip-hop videos did you do?
I did Phone Tap for Dre and Nas.
No way.
Yep. I did Nas Is Like for Nas.
Okay.
I did Take It to the House for Trick. I did, we did a whole bunch of stuff for Bad Boy. I did a bunch of stuff for Black Rob, Dame Espacio. I did You're Playing Yourself for J-Roo.
Okay.
I did LA for Tragedy, Mobb Deep, Capone, Noriega.
Wow.
I did, I've been around. I've done a few.
Your resume is crazy. How did you get into video directing?
I got into video directing because I came to America because I was just so impressed by hip hop music and what hip hop was doing at the time. So I got to New York in 1988, and the first person I knew in New York was Stretch Armstrong, DJ Stretch Armstrong, right? And so I remember the first week I was here, we went to Mars, which was a club in the Meatpacking District in New York, right? And he was DJing upstairs, and after he DJed, came downstairs, and Clark Kent was DJing, right? And Clark was just killing it. And he invited me in and Stretch to stand at the back of the booth. And like he was showing us his records. And he was like super gracious host. And it's like my first week in New York. And it's Clark Kent, the legend, like God's favorite DJ. It's just killing it. And then KRS came up and just ripped it. And I was like, I'm never leaving. Like
just
it
like
touched
an impromptu performance?
Yeah, it just ripped. It just like, it was just he just grabbed the mic. It was like Mars was the place back then. It was like, and he just killed it. And I was like, it was church. I was like, I had never felt like that.
Were you directing before?
No. So I started off I went to NYU and I started off editing and making documentaries, which is what I've gone back to doing now.
Okay. So
actually, Derek, who's here, my first video, I made a documentary first where I'd done a lot of concerts with Stretch. We did Eric B. and Rakim, we did Gangstar, Cypress Hill, KRS. We worked a lot with The Source as well doing these concerts. And then I made a documentary with all these artists that I'd worked with in clubs or in concerts. And then that led me to meeting Common and Derek. And I ended up doing my first video for Common called Resurrection on the south side of Chicago.
Okay, that must have been an experience.
Oh yeah. It was, I got to live on the south side of Chicago for, a couple of months while we made this video. We went to the mosque, we were on Stony Island, 87th, big shout out to Scrooge and Youssef and the whole Four Corner Hustler crew.
So what did you see the differences being in Chicago than New York?
Yeah, they drink pop. and they talk about broads.
They drink pop. We call it soda.
Yeah.
They call it pop. Had you ever had the walking taco, they call it?
The walking taco? What's a walking taco?
A walking taco is a bag of Vintner's corn chips, and you actually take it to the bodega that you get it from, and on the counter they have the meat, they have the cheese, they have the jalapenos and everything, and they just put it in the bag. And they just give you a fork and they mix it up and they walk around eating Vintner's crunchy curls with all of this stuff on. They call it a walking taco.
Yeah, I had that once, and then I had a lot of Harold's chicken.
Harold's chicken,
and then I learned about stepping as well. There was a bar there called Father's.
Yes.
So
Stepping is big in Chicago.
House
music is big in Chicago.
Yeah.
But at that time when you were doing Resurrection, Common was really getting his feet underneath him.
He was still trying to borrow $1. And
Can I borrow $1 was the first thing.
He was still Common Sense back then.
Still Common Sense, yeah.
And so, it was...
this is way before Kanye West.
Way before. Although Ye was around and No ID. Like
No ID was definitely around.
They were like, and Virgil. They were all in that crew around there. So, it was way before. It was like, it's like we're just after Nice and Smooth. That's where it comes. The Resurrection scratch is from Nice and Smooth.
That's right. So that was a building time in hip hop. So you got into hip hop where a lot of people like me call it the most creative time of hip hop, the golden era, so to speak, of hip hop.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to be in New York at the right time, around the right people, listening to the right music.
Absolutely. So Common was blessed. Common was the first person whose video you did.
Yeah, that was my first one as a director.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and pull my phone out and watch that Resurrection video again.
Yeah, and there's a lot of documentary elements to that. So we shot on the steps of the mosque. We shot kids in the State Street projects. We were on the streets making the video, like for real.
Yeah, for sure. And on the south side of Chicago, which could be certain parts of the south side of Chicago could be very dangerous.
Yeah, so there was a whole thing about I would wear my hat backwards because when you're on the camera and you put your eye on the viewfinder, you don't want your hat on the left side of your thing because it bangs the magazine. Right. So I would wear it the other way, and these kids would come up and like push my hat round to the other side and said, "You got to be more aware of what that means around here."
Yeah, so it means something for real.
It really does.
Whichever side you wore your hat on, and this is in the 90s, so it was still a lot of the OG gangbangers and OG people that was running around Chicago was still running Chicago at that time. So he's right. You had to be very careful. It's just like going to the West Coast. If you go to a certain neighborhood, you got to be careful what color you wear.
Yeah. Don't want to be wearing blue in the jungle.
No, absolutely.
Nickerson Gardens.
Absolutely. I went to the first time Compton swap meet.
Yeah.
For the very first time, I went with NWA and Eazy-E. And when we got out the car, Eazy stopped me and was like, "Hold on, you got to get back in the car." Because I had all red on in a blue neighborhood. Yeah. And he went into the swap meet, bought me a T-shirt, bought me some shorts, bought me a black jacket, bought me a black hat because I had the wrong color on in the wrong neighborhood. So Chicago was like that at that point, too. You have to be very careful.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. So you did Common, and when you were doing hip-hop videos, was that something that you thought you were just going to do that, or did you always say, hey, I'm going to go back and do documentaries again?
Well, documentaries have always been a passion and always been in the back of my mind. But, I went on a roll making videos for like 10, 12 years. I was making video after video after video after video.
What's the biggest budget video you ever shot?
Probably Phone Tap, because Phone Tap's like over $1 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez. With that,
It Takes Two, the Little Romeo video, that was pretty big too. That was a big video. We did a lot of effects on that. So, between those two.
Phone Tap cost over $1 million?
Yeah.
Was that like really regular budgets at that time? Bad Boy had some expensive videos, right?
Yeah, Bad Boy had some expensive videos, but the videos I was doing for Bad Boy were more like in the $350 range, like and around that. So it was because we did Carl Thomas and we did Black Rob, we did, so they weren't spending Puff money.
Okay. They weren't spending hypnotized money.
No hypnotized money.
Yeah, with the mermaids and the fish tanks.
Yeah, there's a funny story about that. The Jerky Boys were on that video, right? Remember the guys that used to do the prank calls?
Yeah.
So they changed the call sheet during the video and slid it underneath the door of everyone in the production, right? And changed the call and put them in the middle of the hood, like in the middle of Liberty City. So like Daniel Pearl and all these people are turning up at like 5 a.m. They're screaming at production like, where?
Yeah.
Can I swear here? No.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So where the fuck is production? You send us here. Where the fuck is it? And so it was, but it was all a practical joke. And
wow,
that's an expensive practical joke.
That's an expensive practical joke. Puff must have been heated.
He was.
Wow, probably the reason why we haven't heard the Jerky Boys in a long time, right? Puff get on oh, Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Phone Tap, I can't believe Phone Tap cost $1 million. What label was that?
It was Aftermath.
That was Aftermath?
Yeah.
Wow, and so that had to come from...
Interscope, yeah.
Interscope had to approve that, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of dough to spend. on a video. It's not like that anymore, right?
No, I mean that's what I think's wrong with the music business. They need to start spending more money on videos again.
But there's really no outlets, right? Think about it.
I know. I'm just kidding.
MTV tried to bring back young TV raps on Paramount Plus.
But you know, it was different. There were so few channels to get, you know, any type of content that was like for your age group at that time. So we would run, you know, kids would run home after school to watch Yo MTV. No, they would watch Tigger in his basement, or they, you know, or they watch raps and watch you and watch these guys because you would
Video Music Box in New York.
Big shout out to Ralph.
Yes, Uncle Ralph.
Uncle Ralph forever. Or even like the Video Music Box, or we even watch Public Access. There used to be a cat on New York Public Access called Indecent, and all he'd do was like this really small shot, and he would smoke mad weed and play just like the uncensored videos. It was like college radio for videos.
It's like
that shit was dope,
BT. What was that? BT Untapped or After Dark? Uncut. BT Uncut. Way before all of that. You're right. There weren't a lot of platforms. Now there's a trillion platforms for people to put their videos out. So it's never going to be the same. But you're right. I believe that you're correct, Nick, when you say they need to start spending money on videos again, because that's really what kind of separated the artists and showing the artistic different viewpoints of the way people made videos.
Yeah, you could, I mean, as a video director, you could add to somebody else's art and maybe even reinterpret it in a certain way to give it like another level of meaning. But nowadays, it's just like, it's like someone pulls out their phone and says, start rapping.
Right, and it doesn't matter where they shoot it at. Everybody's shooting in front of a bando, abandoned building, standing on the steps, pointing guns, drinking, smoking weed, blowing it in the camera. It's the same video all the time. But think about it like this, coming from the aspect and point of you being a video director, videos and the fact that Elektra was willing to spend the money on videos is really what separated Missy Elliott from everybody else.
Yeah, and she did great videos with Hype. They were, you know, big shout out to Hype.
Big shout out to I give you a little Hype tidbit. Hype's very first video was a group called BWP, Bitches with Problems. They were on No Face Records, which was my label, with my two partners, and I had to sign off on Hype shooting that video.
There you go.
His very first video.
You cost a lot of people a lot of money.
Yes, I did. and well, Hype did a lot of Busta, right?
Hype did everyone.
X.
Yeah.
A lot of guys came through. It was some Kevin Bray.
Yeah. I worked for Kevin. That was one of my first gigs, was working for Kevin Bray as a PA.
Get out of here.
Yeah. On Hex Films with him and Shady and Gina Harrell. Big shout out to Shady and Gina.
Yeah, there's a lot of great video directors that have gone on to do other things. So you went back to...
I got a funny story. So the first video I worked on with Kevin was a Brand Nubians video, and Pooba is sitting in his 7 Series BMW on the West Side Highway, and he won't get out of the car until someone brings him $1,500 in a brown paper bag.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I am. It's true. And so I said to Kev, a bit of problem here. Artist's not getting out of the car. He's like, oh, okay. So then we got that, and the label had to do it. Like
the label gave him $1,500 in a brown paper bag.
Yeah, they went to the cash machine.
What is the weirdest request from an artist you got besides the Pooba $1,500 story? And who was difficult and who was easy?
So I did a bunch of stuff with the Wu, and I did.
Okay.
So let's start there. So basically, the strangest request was not even that strange request. It's just it was awkward to get done. But like, remember the amulet that Ghostface used to wear with like the
hawk on it, the big bird.
On it. Yeah. We pay for that. Like that was 40 G's. And like they were like, we're just gonna pay for that. I was like, we've got to put it in the budget. I'm not like giving you 40 G's to go and do that. I'm like, we're gonna go and get a receipt from I think the jeweler's name was Lenny the Jew.
On Canal Street.
Yeah, on Canal Street. Yeah. Lenny the jeweler, yeah. And we ended up that was a bit of a weird one.
Wow.
Because I was like,
well, did you have the whole?
But everyone remembers
was it.
A
like Ghostface video or a whole WuTang video?
It was a Ghostface video called for "Never Be the Same Again."
Never Be the Same Again. Him, Raekwon, and who's that? Carl Thomas.
Carl Thomas
singing on that. Yeah. We had the big eagle. I ran down. I ran back, and when Pune.
Oh, and Lisa Ray.
And Lisa Ray played his girl, his
Yeah.
wife. I ran back fast, broke my arm in the mix just to
Yeah.
find out some bird bitch was tapping my shit. I
Yeah.
love that song. I love that
Yeah,
song. My favorite line of that whole record is the end when Raekwon says, "You think I'm the biggest bird in America? Catch me on TV. I'm coming back thorough." I love. I'm a big time Ghostface and Raekwon fan.
I love the way they twist language and they make new words.
Yes,
And it's
make
just
it their own. The fact that
Yeah.
Ghost is like a old soul. He takes a lot of old soul samples and stuff like that. And did one of my favorite Ghost records is Holler, when he took the whole record and they're singing, "Many guys have come to you," and he's rhyming at the same time.
Yeah.
And then he jumps on the chorus. Man, I go all day with Ghost and Ray. It's
Yeah.
incredible. So when did you decide, okay, enough of this video stuff? What made you do that?
Well, around 2006, 2007, for me, I was losing. I just wasn't feeling the music in the same way, and I don't think they were, So I went back to my other passion, which is documentaries, and so the first film we made was with a friend of mine, Sebastian Junger and Tim Hetherington. Tim, who unfortunately passed after making the film, he was killed in Libya, and we made a film called Restrepo, which was a film about a deployment of soldiers in the Korangal Valley in Afghanistan, the 173rd Airborne. And so basically Tim and Sebastian spent on and off for 15 months in the Korangal Valley filming a portrait of what it's like to be a soldier at the sharp end of American foreign policy. And so, and so that, it was very well received. We ended up getting nominated for an Oscar, and so I was back in the documentary business after that.
Wow. And a lot of times those guys out there, do they really, really know what they're fighting for?
There's not discussions of politics and the reason they're fighting, because that doesn't help you survive the day. So in the end, what we were interested in really is like how young men bond together in order to, to fight, like, because they were under constant pressure from the Taliban. Every day they're being shot at.
Right.
And so we were really interested in those bonds. But like, are they talking about politics? No, they're not. They're not.
No.
They're
just trying to get to the next day.
Yeah, get to the next day.
And they become connected with other soldiers that surround them. They become family.
Absolutely.
In a unit, and losing a family member has to be, oh my God.
In fact, there's two little stories out of that. They don't always get on well, right? Like, and there was one black soldier there called Sterling, but he put it very nicely. It's like, listen, we don't always like each other, but we love each other.
Sound like family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sound like family. My mother always said you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family.
Yeah.
You don't always like each other. It's like my kids. I don't always like them, but I love them.
Exactly.
All the time. I love them all the time. Let's talk about this mixtape documentary that you have. Tell everybody the name of the mixtape documentary.
Oh, so Mixtape is a film about how mixtape culture and mixtape spread hip-hop around the world, and we walk it all the way back to Pause Tapes and Brucey B.
Oh, you go all the way that far back?
All the way back.
Yeah, because I did see a clip of it. You talked to Q-Tip.
We talked to Tip. We talked to everyone.
Yeah,
everyone
and you ain't talked to me, but that's okay. But I was making pause tapes. That's how you recorded the songs that you wanted. That's how you recorded stuff for your answering machine when you got a little older. That's how you had music without the radio station's ID on it.
Yeah.
You made the mixtape. You pause. That was really early production for a lot of guys like you, tipping them.
KRS-One explains it. You take bump, bump, bop, bump, bump, bop, rewind, do it again, bump, bump, bop, bump,
right.
bump, lay down 16 bars, and then you can go.
That's right. And that's what you wrote to.
Yeah.
That's what you listened to, because the early mixtapes that we making, the pause mixtapes, were really a lot of records, break beats, right? The break beat records where you find Welcome to the Mardi Gras, Bob James, and you just wanted that ding, 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 ding. When it went to the boom, you was out. So you stop, put the record back on, hit it again. And that's how people were making their own production back in the days.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were talking to everybody from Q-Tip, Clue.
Yep, Clue's way up in there. Flex and Clue were like, Flex was explaining how Clue, and Noriega explains how Clue was the first DJ from Queens that really broke out of Queens, and we talk about the exclusives and how Clue brought in exclusives and how how people got
Clue lived
exclusives.
up a block from me,
Piece to
dude.
K Slay.
On Murdoch Avenue. Clue, I'm on Murdoch and 290th. Clue was right across. Clue was right up on the other side of Springfield Boulevard, about 2 blocks up. And that's the first time I heard about Clue, because he was known for getting the exclusives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about all the sort of, because, Kid Capri put it very nicely. Hip hop was about, a little outlaw, catch me if you can.
Right.
Right. And there was some dirty business that went on with exclusives.
Kid Capri, you talked to Ron G.
Ron G,
absolutely.
Doo-Wop, Ron G, Tony Touch.
I'm on Doo-Wop's. I was on one of his tapes, rhyming. I think it was like 50 MCs or 55 MCs or something like that we did back in the day.
50 MCs was Tony's mixtape.
Tony Touch.
Yeah.
And then I did one.
So
for
we made
Doo-Wop.
the Tony's the center because the film evolved and Def Jam got involved, and so Tony decided to use the music, the classic beats from Def Jam, jack them, and then go with new artists on top.
Oh wow!
So you've got Rottweiler, you've got all sorts, Paul Revere, you've got all sorts of crazy Def Jam beats in this new album.
That's incredible.
That are reinterpreted in a modern way.
Yeah, that's incredible. Did Capri tell you about how he used to sell all his tapes to all the cabs?
Yeah. And Fat Joe tells him how he was outside the Apollo and Capri chased him down the road trying to give him a free mixtape.
Those guys really, really revolutionized. Who do people point to as the very first person to do in that modern mixtape era? Who would they say is the godfather of that era?
I'd say you got... there's a little bit before, but you got G-Bo the Pro and Double R. Okay. Because those guys were doing incredible, multi-layered mixtapes. And you got to, not for nothing, you got to go and give a big shout out to Dr. Dre and his Rhodium mixtapes. Those are incredible pieces of DJing. And DJing and production. So you could see at that point, if you go and get a Dre tape from Rhodium, you will see and hear, you will hear the elements that he built on for the Chronic. It's right there.
It's
and for
right
NW there.
Everything
the DOC's The Formula. You heard that 5 years before.
Wow. All of that stuff is right there. So Dre pretty much on the West Coast, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say there was a bunch of cats, a big shout out to Z-Trip as well. Z-Trip was as far as the mixtape going, is a legend. We interviewed him, DJ AM, another shout out.
Yeah, shout out to AM.
But who changed it in New York? It's I think it's Tony Touch, it's Kid Capri, Ron G, Doo-Wop, Clue.
Yeah. Clue was that next.
He's a little next because he brought in the exclusive,
era.
But
he's the next era. Would you say that Clue inspired cats like Drama?
Oh, totally, absolutely. I think and Drama's in the film because we tell the whole story of what happened down there. Jeezy's in the film, Wayne's in the film,
right?
And it just you just see these levels of building and inspiration that people took from each other, and inspiration rather than people weren't biting each other's stuff like they do. Now. It was people evolved and improved and
Wayne was Wayne before G Unit.
Lil Wayne before G Unit,
was he?
Yeah,
with mixtapes.
With mixtapes, I think so. Yeah. Because he's on the Gangsta Grills
stuff.
Let me think as well, because I did a video for Juvenile. I did Cash Money's Get Your Roll On, so he was there, and I'm wondering if Cash Money is just before G Unit.
They definitely was before G Unit. Yeah, because Wayne was very
Hot Boys, right? Remember that?
Yeah. Those guys were kind of very instrumental in the way they did things. How about DJ Screw?
Yeah, DJ Screw's in there. Bun B tells the whole story, how he united Houston with one of his mixtapes. Yes. He was the north side and the south side. You could hear it everywhere, and it was the first time it ever happened.
Yeah, man. Screw was very instrumental to slow down mixtapes that he did, nobody was doing that kind
No
of
one was
stuff.
doing it.
Nobody was doing that. Then you had cats that were doing the blends. You just get straight blend mixtapes. That's
Yeah.
all that you got. And then you had Grandmaster Vic coming out of Queens, out of South Side, that was doing mixtapes way back in the days. Like before Clue, Grandmaster Vic and them was doing mixtapes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cats that were doing mixtapes. But what everybody did was try to be different than everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? New York was flooded with mixtapes. West
Yeah.
Coast was flooded with mixtapes. The South was flooded with mixtapes. How long does an undertaking like that take to get all of these people to sit down and do this documentary?
Oh, years. It's hip hop. Like, listen, I say, Wayne is a star in the film. He gave us the most, incredible interview. He was like candid and funny and real. But that motherfucker was 30 hours late.
30 hours late?
He was 30 hours late.
How can you be 30 hours? That's a day.
It's more than a day.
That's more than a day. That's
Yo,
over
I
a
don't
day.
know how he's 30 hours late. He's like, we shot at his little skate joint there, and like he just turned up 30 hours late, but he killed it. Like,
Right.
We're happy. We're super. We thank him and appreciate him, but like,
Damn.
you just got to be patient. Like, we were there.
Right.
And we waited out. Omar waited, like, because we knew we needed him, and he's important, and we just like to say thank you, like, for
Big
the
up to
time.
Lil Wayne, but
For
damn,
real.
don't be 30 hours late next time.
And
boy.
mixtape Wheezy, for real.
Yeah. He did. You know what? Wayne is so super important to the hip hop culture. I say that Wayne is the godfather of everything that we're seeing right now.
Absolutely.
Everything from,
Yo,
Wayne
Thug,
wasn't the first
Thug
one with
even
the-
says that. Like,
Huh?
Young Thug from...
Yeah,
he says,
absolutely.
absolutely, that's the Godfather.
Yeah, that's the godfather of all of that we're seeing now, because those kids weren't around when the Lost Boys was running around with the dreadlocks and all. They weren't around then.
No.
But when Wayne came and he started doing it, they all patterned everything after Wayne. The facial tattoos, the super tattoos, everything. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more of Mr. Nick Quested right here on the Ed Lover Experience. Come on, son. I'm about to say the Ed Lover Experience. That's my radio show. This is Come On, Son, the podcast. Back with more Come On, Son, the podcast. Mr. Nick Quested is here. You got to check out the mixtape documentary. When does it drop?
It dropped today.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
Live and direct on Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. I got Paramount Plus, so I know I'm going to check it out.
Stream it constantly.
And the reason why I asked you, Nick, about the amount of time that it takes to make a documentary is because a lot of people think that they could just make a documentary. Like, we've been working on the real story of Your MTV Raps for about 5 years now. And we're still it's so hard. It's difficult.
Yeah, you got. Sometimes you find the story when you're making it. Sometimes you start with a story. Sometimes you start with a story. You find a different story as you're making it, and you have to pivot. Like,
Right.
It's a beautiful thing because because the scale of production is the volume's lower, so you can pivot where you find things interesting
Right.
as well.
Yeah, because you don't have that big super production and, millions of dollars like you did on the phone tap.
Nah.
That's not necessary. When
We
you're
spent
doing
that in 7 days. Like,
Jeez Louise, I can never imagine that. But you're doing something else too. I saw something else that you're working on your next one already. Or do you do two at the same time?
yeah, we do. We have a couple rolling at the same time
Okay,
normally
okay.
because you just don't know when people are available, and
Right.
and it takes a while for things to clarify in your mind sometimes. Like sometimes you might be just like sitting on sitting in the driving the car, and someone, oh, I know how to do that now.
So how many do you have going right now?
So
You got the mixtape out.
we got the
Dropped
mixtape
today.
out. I've been working on. So I kind of got caught up a little bit towards the end of 2020 because I, during the pandemic, remember what the summer was like. You had the murder of George Floyd, and you had the protests. You had like this pressure on the food supply. You started seeing these meat packing factories, and you started seeing truck drivers not wanting to drive anywhere. And I was started to look at America in the way that I'd been looking at conflicts around the world as a foreign correspondent. So I was looking at America and saying, why are Americans so divided in the face of this pandemic when Americans have so much in common? And we could have as Americans, we could have used this moment to
Bond.
unify, where we
Like after 9/11.
exactly.
Remember how we bonded in America after 9/11? Every
Yeah.
car that drove down the block, you saw the American flag on
Yeah.
it. We were one United States of America, and now we're like, whoop.
So, so I started making a film about why America is so divided, and so I was sort of telling this in extreme because I was, I went and spent some time with some pro-black 2A groups, and then I also was looking at the other side. So I spent some time with Oath Keepers, 3%ers, and Proud Boys. So I was the journalist that was embedded with the Proud Boys after the elections and all the way through to the steps of the Capitol. And I filmed the Proud Boys during the insurrection on the steps of the Capitol, which led to me to be the first witness in the congressional hearings. And my footage being the basis of the first congressional hearing.
I like to think of myself as an open-minded person. What is the Proud Boys' agenda?
The Proud Boys don't really
I
have
don't really
an
think they'll let me ask that question, but
they
I'm
don't
really
really,
interested to
as
know.
far as I'm concerned, they don't really have an agenda. They have grievances, and they have grievances of things that have been taken away from them. Like they think that that life is too difficult for them, and that life is difficult. Life is difficult for everyone.
Yes.
Now, however you slice it, right? And they feel that their section of society has been unfairly targeted and vilified. So they've weaponized this grievance, and the only thing that really links them together was their admiration and respect for the former President Trump.
Based on what?
Well, I don't think they quite feel the same way now. See, he kind of like
He just got indicted again for the third time. Right?
time. And I think there's 4 coming. So like,
Wow. Wow. So
and the 4th one will be a state charge. So let's, yeah.
So they bond together on their admiration for
Trump
President
and their
Trump.
grievance about how America is, becoming progressive. And I think they really epitomize this sort of struggle of what America really is. Is America a multicultural society that's designed to be a meritocracy? And, obviously it's not perfect, but as a political experiment, it's trying to be better all the time. Or is America a white Christian nation for white Christians? And I don't mean Christians in the
Christian males.
White Christian males. And I don't mean Christian in the sense of people who go to church on Sundays. I mean culturally Christian.
What in the world is culturally Christian?
I mean, so a culturally Christian person was someone who adopts many of those attitudes, but doesn't actually embody the tenets of Christianity. Snap! You have to turn it off. Sorry.
If you look, what is that? That happens. Somebody playing "Take It to the House." That's your phone?
Yes, my phone.
You did that video.
I did that video.
That's okay.
And I got to shout out from Trick.
That was a great moment in this interview. "Take It to the House" just played on Nick's phone, and he directed the video. And we were talking about the Proud Boys and you being around them, actually filming them on the steps of the insurrection that happened January 6th.
Yeah.
I call it a riot. People like to call it insurrection. I believe if we did it as black people, they'd have said, they rioting again.
Yeah.
But because it was white people, it's an insurrection. Okay, cool, that's America. But being around them, and we were just talking about how they are Christianly cultural, but don't practice Christianity or go to church, because if they did, they would understand that Jesus loves everybody.
Yeah.
Jesus died for everybody, not just the white male in America. Is that their problem, that they feel like the white male is being put to the back burner while everybody else is being pushed forward?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's their whole problem.
I mean, it's their primary problem.
Wow. So in their minds, the Proud Boys' minds, white males in America are just supposed to run everything, take care of everything, have all the money and all the power, and whatever they decide to trickle down to the minorities, we're just supposed to accept it and say, thank you, Massa.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they say that the system's been working so well for so long, why don't we just keep it the way it was?
Have you ever asked them, former President Trump's mantra was "Make America Great Again." Have you ever asked them when was America great in their eyes?
Yeah, no, they can't answer that question.
No, I've seen many an interview with white correspondents at MAGA rallies asking people, "You got a MAGA hat on? Yeah, what does that mean? Make America great again. When was America great?" And then they will come with an answer, and then he'll go, "Well, so you mean to tell me that's when blacks didn't have any rights? That's when women couldn't vote? That's when all this stuff going on?" No, that's not what I'm saying. So I don't think sometimes they know what they're saying.
Yeah.
I would love to interview one of them, though. I would love to.
I think America's always been great, and it's always been the point about America is it's always trying to be better,
Right.
So black people did not have any rights when the Constitution was enshrined. You have Dred Scott, you have all these things, but it's been a gradual process. It is not perfect, but is the idea of America to become better? Yes. That's the
And
concept.
it's supposed to be for everybody.
The way I read the Constitution.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be for everybody. What did your time with the Proud Boys show you about America?
I think that my time with the Proud Boys showed that America is a very divided country, and no matter what the reality is for America in general, people will, you can look at the way people react to the Trump indictment. There's people that don't believe that he did anything wrong ever, and I'm like, I don't understand how you can have that point of view. Like, I think that you should never underestimate the racism that's present throughout America.
I agree 100%. On all levels. If racism, you can't underestimate the sexism that goes on in America. If people tend to be afraid of things that are unknown to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's still going on.
And people act defensively as well, and feel that if you say America has a problem with racism, white people say, well, they feel defensive about it. But, you can't be responsible for the actions of your ancestors, but you can be responsible for being a better person right now.
And moving forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mixtape is out now?
Mixtape is out now.
When is that one coming out?
What's that?
The one we were talking about.
We're still working on that.
Okay.
As every day we learn new things. We just learned a whole bunch of stuff yesterday as they dropped they dropped another indictment on the president.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how America reacts to that. I still think it's a strong chance the man can actually get elected. I really think so.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
And what else? What's next? What else?
We're working in Atlanta on a little top secret project.
Okay. Is that the top secret project I was kind of privy of seeing a little bit of?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we won't talk about that, but that's going to be a good one. Oh, my God. Can't wait to see it, sir. I'm not going to tell y'all the name of it because I know, but he's going to come back when it drops, and we're going to talk about it. Nick Quested, right here. Come on, son. The podcast. Keep God first. Everything else will fall into place. I'll talk at you, with you, to you, and about you next week. This is Come On, Son, the podcast. Now get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.